Hello, welcome to Raymond Castile's Basement of Horror. I hope you're having a great holiday. I plan to upload this for Christmas morning, so Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. I'm shooting it just a little before Christmas, but you'll be seeing this Christmas morning. Although, I don't know, it's Christmas morning. Why are you watching YouTube? I don't know. Don't you have more important things to do? Spend time with your family. If you don't have a family, I don't know, go volunteer somewhere. I don't know. Why are you watching YouTube on Christmas morning? But if you are, then Merry Christmas. Why am I shooting a YouTube program Christmas weekend? I don't know, but here I am. I'm doing it. So we get to spend a little bit of Christmas together. Isn't that nice? It's bitter winter over here. Snow, cold. It's Snowmageddon. But I don't know. I think everyone's handling it okay, as best as could be expected. I haven't left the house in a couple days. I'm not going out on the road the way things are. Nope. I'm going to stay right here where everything is nice and comfy. But I hope you're comfortable wherever you are. I hope it's not too bad as far as winter's concerned. Not too snowy, not too icy, not too cold. I hope you're having a marvelous Christmas holiday weekend. And I hope you get whatever you wanted from Santa. So today, we're not going to look at a toy. We're going to look at a book. Look at this ancient thing. Look at that. Oh my gosh. What in the heck is this? It's ancient. It reminds me of that scene in The Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is researching the ring and he's going through all those ancient books. I guess he's in an archive. Or kind of, if you've seen Dario Argento's Inferno, there's a book, there's an ancient sorcerer's book in that. Or maybe The Ninth Gate. There's a lot of sinister old books in that movie. So this kind of reminds me of one of those. This was a gift from a very dear friend some years ago. And I appreciate it very much. But you're wondering, what is this? I mean, it's falling apart. Look at that. It's falling apart. It's old. What are we looking at? What is this thing? Let's see here. MIB, Master Toy Museum, his channel, he does this thing with Vampirella comic books where Warren Publishing Magazine, they're not really comic books, they're magazines, Vampirella magazines, where he runs the camera across the page as he's looking at it. So, there's no Vampirella images in this, unfortunately. But there are some interesting things to see. Let's see here. Some interesting images. And I've always wanted to do an episode like his Vampirella episodes. This isn't quite the right book for that. I've got some Brazilian Coffin Joe comic books. I thought maybe I would do an episode where I looked through those books, but they're in Portuguese, so the viewer really, I mean, how much are they going to get out of that? They can't read it. Most people watching won't be able to read it. So I haven't told you what this is. I'm deliberately withholding that. I'm making you just look at these old images while you're wondering, what are we doing? Why are we looking at this old book? What is the deal with this book? What is the point of looking at this ancient book? Am I ever going to tell you? Is it just going to be a bizarre mystery? In the olden days, a lot of important works of literature were published in magazines before they were published in books. And then, once a year, these magazines would compile 12 months of the magazine, all the contents of the magazine, into these bound volumes, these books, and they would sell books that would be a year's worth of the magazine. My shadow's making it a little difficult to see some of these. What was that? That looked interesting. Music. One of the best known examples of this would be the Strand in England. That was a magazine in the 19th century, that in early 20th century, that published Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes stories. So before Sherlock Holmes stories were published as books, like The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the Case Book of Sherlock Holmes, they were published in a magazine. And then that magazine would release an annual bound edition where all 12 months of the magazine were published as a book. And that's an example you might have heard of. And I've got one of those that has several Sherlock Holmes stories in it. But that's not what this is. That's not what this is. But the Strand is an example that maybe you've heard of. What a way to spend your Christmas. With me, looking through this old book. And I haven't even told you, what is this book? Why are we looking at it? Why is it on Basement of Horror? Doesn't seem very horrifying, does it? Not really. Just look at all these lovely images. Some people will be guessing what this is. few people will start to clue in. Oh, wow, look at this. Some people have seen enough to know, oh, wow, I know what that is. There's that piece of foil in there. What is that? I don't think it's just a piece of foil. I think it's... No, it's falling apart, whatever it is. I'm just gonna... I'm gonna leave it be. I'm not gonna touch it. Well... I could go on and on like this. Oh, there's an interesting image. Wonder what's going on there. Okay, let's put this aside for a minute and talk about what is this? Gosh, it's falling apart. My hands is crumbling. This ancient volume. Oh gosh, every time I handle it, I feel like it's going to just fall apart. Oh dear. I wondered whether I should even be showing this, because I could just imagine it just falling all to pieces right in front of me. So this is an 1843 edition of Graham's magazine. So this is all of the magazine issues from 1843 compiled together into this book form. And inside of this is, basically this is a first edition Edgar Allan Poe publication. This is the first printing in book form, the first printing of Edgar Allan Poe's The Conqueror Worm, which is my favorite Edgar Allan Poe poem. It's not The Raven. My favorite Edgar Allan Poe poem is The Conqueror Worm, and this is the first edition publication of The Conqueror Worm in book form. It was in a magazine first, Graham's magazine, but the first time it was ever published in a book was this. This is from 1843. What I'm holding in my hand right here. This is a book from 1843, first edition, Edgar Allan Poe, The Conqueror Worm. That's why it's special. There's a lot of other great stuff in here, but the reason it's important to me is because Edgar Allan Poe. And I don't have a lot of things like this. I do have a similar bound edition of The Strand that has several Sherlock Holmes stories, and those would be the first edition in book form, first edition publication of those Sherlock Holmes stories. And those are the only two examples of these kinds of books that I've got. And that was a gift as well. The Sherlock Holmes one was also a gift from a different friend. So two different friends gave me these books. And I was going to show the Sherlock Holmes one as well, but I thought I didn't want to mix things up. We'll maybe save that for another time. This is Edgar Allan Poe, so it's more on point as far as this program is concerned. And here is The Conqueror Worm. That is the first time in history that that poem was ever published in a book. That's it. This entire book is important because of this little bit right here on this page. That's it. The Conqueror Worm. And what else have we got here? There's some handwriting in this. Oh my, look at this stuff. I haven't gone through those. I'll go through those another time. What does this say? It looks like it's something. No, it's not Edgar Allan Poe's autograph. Nothing like that. Just a little piece of the history of the book. But here's The Conqueror Worm, this poem. And I did look at I looked up this book to see what kind of value it had. Was it rare? Was it expensive? Was it not? I don't know, just what am I looking at here? And it's certainly not a dime a dozen. You can get them. It looks like the going rate is between $500 and $900. $500 to $900. However, I think because of the condition, this is I would think would be on the lower end of that. You can get it in better condition. It is available out there in better condition. So 500-ish, something like that. So that's the dollar value of the thing. But I mean, it's priceless to me because it's a gift, and I would not sell this. Would I ever buy another copy of it? No, I don't like to upgrade, No, I mean, this is my copy. This, for better or worse, kind of how I've talked about some toys that I've had for years and years, and how I could find one maybe in better condition, but no, that's my toy. And I would say this is my copy of this book. I don't, it's not a commodity. I don't need to upgrade. This is my copy. So it's not a collectible. It's an heirloom. Now, Edgar Allan Poe was the editor of Graham's magazine for 2 years, and he quit in 1942. And then another editor took over that he didn't like. So he was on the outs with that editor and with the magazine. It soured his relationship with the magazine. But for 2 years, he was the editor of this magazine, and he really brought it a lot of prestige and increased its popularity and its visibility. And the magazine benefited from, because he was already famous, it was quite a coup to get Poe as the editor. He was already well known when they hired him, when he got that job. So it was a big deal for that magazine to have him as the editor. And it helped the reputation of the magazine, the prestige of the magazine for a couple of years, having Poe as the editor. And there's different stories about why he quit. But he quit, I think in 1942, he quit. And this other editor, whose name I don't remember, but he was like an enemy of Poe, and he took over. And then there was sort of a feud then between Poe and the magazine, and never was the same again. And this this poem is published in 1943. It was early, I think it was January 43 that this was published. And the magazine did continue to publish Poe's work even after he was gone. But this is from the period after Poe had left the magazine. So this is when he was sort of had friction with the new editor, had friction with this magazine, and was not enjoying the same relationship with the magazine that he had a couple of years before. And like I said, Poe was already famous. He was famous in his own time. He became more and more and more famous, obviously, after his death, but he was very well known in his own day. And he was well known at the time that this was published. So even though it seems like, oh, it's just this little poem, it was a big deal to have a Edgar Allan Poe poem published in the magazine. People, there was an international readership that looked forward to that and would be drawn to that. Now, I actually have the original one sheet for the Vincent Price movie, The Conqueror Worm. I thought about it, hanging it up, but I could just see Billy jumping up and tearing it up. So yeah, I thought better, but I do have that. In the UK, it's a British film. It was released as The Witchfinder General, and it really has nothing to do with this poem. They just sort of tacked that on in the US to tie it into Edgar Allan Poe, but the movie, it has really nothing to do with this poem. But I do have that poster, The Conqueror Worm. And I don't know why I like this poem so much. I mean, it's very nihilistic and dark, and I don't know, it appeals to me. Let me see if I can. I have such bad eyesight, I don't even know if I can see this enough to read it. Let me see. I'm wondering, should I try to read this poem? I guess I kind of have to after all this build-up. Okay, I am not Vincent Price, so just keep that in mind. You're not going to hear a Shakespearean actor reciting this poem. But here we go. The Conqueror Worm by Edgar Allan Poe. Lo, 'tis a gala night within the lonesome latter years, a mystic throng, bewinged, bedight, in veils and drowned in tears, sit in a theater to see a play of hopes and fears, while the orchestra breathes fitfully the music of the spheres. Mimes in the form of God on high mutter and mumble low, and hither and thither fly, mere puppets they who come and go, at bidding of vast shadowy things that shift the scenery to and fro, flapping from out their condor wings, invisible woe. That motley drama, oh, be sure it shall not be forgot, with its phantom chased forevermore by a crowd that sees it not. Through a circle that ever returneth in to the selfsame spot, and much of madness and more of sin, and horror the soul of the plot. But see, amid the mimic rout, a crawling shape intrude, a blood-red thing that writhes from out the scenic solitude. It writhes with mortal pangs, the mimes become its food, and the angels sob at vermin fangs, in human gore imbued. Out are the lights, out all, and over each dying form, the curtain, a funeral pall, comes down with the rush of a storm, and the seraphs, all haggard and wan, uprising, unveiling, affirm that the play is the tragedy man, its hero, the Conqueror Worm. Like I said, I'm not Vincent Price, but There you go. That's the poem. I don't know. There's a couple words I hope I didn't mispronounce, but that's it. The Conqueror Worm. So that's my favorite Edgar Allan Poe poem. I don't know why. Even as a kid, this was my favorite poem. Now, I should have brought that out. I have my childhood complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. It's a book about that thick. I think it's Tales of Mystery and Imagination. And, oh gosh, I must have been 4 or 5 years old when I got that. And I still have my childhood copy. It's kind of torn and stuff, but it's still intact. And I remember, was it first or second grade? It was first grade. I think it was Mrs. Gash. She had us do book reports, and I did a book report on that book, Edgar Allan Poe. And she got angry. She said, no, you did not read this. This is at college level. She thought I was lying. You didn't read that. Come on. So I'm giving you a 0. You take that back, and you come back with a book report on something age appropriate. I don't know why. I guess I got some children's book or something and did a report on that. But I'd already been reading that for a couple of years by then, 2 or 3 years, I guess. I don't know how old I was in first grade. My first grade teacher originally was Mrs. Wolf, and I really liked her. But then we changed teachers mid-year to Mrs. Gash. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to. She might still be out there. I don't know. But I really loved Mrs. Wolf, and I really hated to leave her class. I don't know why they changed us out. I was doing really well in her class, and then I went to Mrs. Gash's class, and I don't think I did quite as well in that class. And that's where I had that experience with the book report that she would not accept because she didn't believe I actually read it. And, I'd been reading it for a while at that point. I'd read the whole thing from cover to cover. And then at some point, I don't know if was it elementary school or was it? Yeah, it must have been elementary school. I tried to find this to show it to you. I couldn't. But I did this project on construction paper. And I made a construction paper, Edgar Allan Poe, and I did like tan and black, like for his face and his suit. And I did that famous portrait where he's like looking kind of bewildered and forlorn, straight ahead, kind of with his mustache kind of crooked. I did that out of construction paper, and I wrote out the Conqueror Worm in that paper that little kids use. It's like kind of gray with the green stripes on it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. To practice handwriting, so I wrote out the Conqueror Worm on that. And then I made a construction paper, a Conqueror Worm, which was like some kind of a leech monster with fangs. I don't think he had eyes, but he was like a blobby thing with fangs and blood. And I don't know if I had any angels or something dying or being eaten or whatever. I took it very literally, even at that age, I knew it was metaphoric. Even at that age, I knew it was all supposed to be taken symbolically. But the way I did this was all literal. Like there's an actual Conqueror Worm monster, construction paper, and I glued it all together and made this. So it was like a black construction paper about this big, and had the Poe and the worm and the poem written out, all glued on. And I swear I've still got that somewhere. And I wish I could have showed it to you today, but I looked for it and I could not find it. Otherwise, I'd be showing it to you right now. I did that show last year where was it last year or the year before, where I did a lot of my childhood drawings. I showed you my childhood drawings. And I would have had it on there if I could have found it. I couldn't find it then. I made another attempt today and I couldn't find it. I'm sure I've still got it somewhere, because I know as an adult, I looked at it. I've seen it as an adult, and I wouldn't have thrown it away. So I've got it somewhere. Oh well, I just described it to you, so I'm sure the image of it in your mind is much cooler than whatever I could actually show you. But that's how, even as a kid, that's how into Poe I was. And this poem in particular, I just loved that poem. I don't know why. And I had not seen the Vincent Price movie at that point. I don't even know if I knew that movie existed yet. But I know I had not seen it. I didn't see that movie until I was an adult. Well, it's a very adult film, so I mean, it's not a kid's kind of film. But it wasn't because of Vincent Price. I just liked that poem. I mean, I liked all his poems, but I liked that one in particular. It just hit a chord in me. See, every time I touch this, I feel like it's going to just fall apart. I'm scared of handling it. Okay. Well, we'll just set that aside now. So that's an 1843 first edition Edgar Allan Poe. We'll pick it up one more time. Is this the old? This is the oldest thing in my collection. It has to be. That Sherlock Holmes one is 1890s, I think. So this is 1843. It is not MIB condition, but you know, it's from 1843, so give it a break. And I don't know if there's some conservation that could be done. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure my friend Matt would know. He could tell me. He probably knows the different methods to conserve this, but I think I would just, for now anyway, just leave it like it is. It is what it is. Just leave it like that in case, unless something gets worse. But I'm very happy to own this, especially because it was a gift. It wasn't something I probably would have bought on my own. It wasn't something I would have thought to buy. And that's the best kind of gift, is something that you didn't know you wanted, but once you get it, you realize, you know, you wanted it all your life and didn't know it. That's the kind of gift. Something that's not like on their list to go buy. That's something someone wouldn't have thought to buy for themselves, but once they get it, it's perfect for them. That's a great gift. And I hope you get some gifts like that this weekend. I hope you get some, even if the gift is just someone's company. That can be a great gift, just someone's company. That's a gift I often would like to have. That can be the best gift of all. Because all gifts really, I mean, sometimes you give gifts because you feel obligated. But, I mean, a true gift is just a way to show someone you care. And that caring is the gift. The object is just sort of evidence of caring. But the real gift is knowing the other person cares. Unless it's someone you don't like. Then the gift is, oh cool, I've got this thing. But if it's someone you care about, which was the case here, it's definitely someone I care about, then the gift is really knowing they care. That's the gift. So I hope you get a good gift this Christmas. And I hope you stay out of the way of the Conqueror Worm. Don't cross his path. Thank you very much. I don't know when the next episode will be, but it probably will be I'll probably skip a week or two before you see me again. So until then, have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, the one who dies with the most toys is dead.